This episode contains sensitive topics. Discretion is advised.
Welcome back to a new episode of the Lusty Lounge. Sit back, relax, and let us indulge you for around an hour and a half. This week, joining me, we have
Minka, as always, like every week.
And
Puce, as always.
Thank you. But this week, we're talking about porn. Eastern porn and Western porn, because there's way more than I thought when the word Western porn comes up.
Same with Eastern porn.
You know what? Yeah, the the Koreans, they got their own stuff, and that's cool. And China's like, that's not real, and they're like, oh.
Oh, I meant when I typed in Eastern, I got Arab and Middle Eastern as well. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. No, I'm here for that.
I throw that in Western, but all right, okay.
I don't know. I feel like it's different. I'd have to do more research into that specifically.
I feel like that's its own branch as well. It's like it sits like perfectly in the middle. If I wanted to like categorize it. But yeah, we're gonna talk about how they're different and the same, but really different. Like really different. Where do you think would be a good place to start? Because there's a lot.
Well, you're the host of this episode, so you've got to tell us where to start.
Man, there's a joke there, and I'm not going to do it. I guess we can talk about just length in general, because, man, Japanese porn videos are so long. So long. Like 2+ hours long, and I went, why? Who needs that?
From what I understand, they're much more story-based.
Yes, they're mostly for plot lines, and renting out an entire studio for a whole day is cheaper than a few hours, which makes no sense to me at all. But, you know, I'm an American, so, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like their love hotels in Japan. It's like, yeah, you can get it for an hour or two, but, like, you're still paying more to get it for, like, the whole night. But at that point, to extend it to a whole night, it's, like, very small compared to what you were paying for the first 2 hours.
Yeah. Which I guess that's more a convenience thing, but I don't want my porn 2 hours long. No.
But you got to know everybody's backstory.
They don't do backstory.
You can't just have the pizza man at the door.
See, okay, you're right about that, but I don't need the pizza man's background. I just need to know, like, what he drove on, the type of pizza he made, if there's an actual pizza in that box or not. Because in Western porn, there's no pizza in that box. They just got a prop. But in Japan, they're like, here's an actual pizza. And I'm like, oh shit. I like pizza. Hold on.
See, but you also got to know what neighborhood he's from and how that influenced his life. And if he has a girlfriend or not.
See,
only if we're talking about NTR, and we're not talking about NTR.
I feel like you're talking about gay porn. Gay porn, like, definitely goes full on for those stories. Like, I think there's a lot
Does it really?
Not all of it, but, like, there's a decent amount that does seem to, and it's just like, oh, I feel like there's some people that really want to be film writers that are writing gay porn.
That brings a whole new level to Step Bro.
Does it?
No.
Okay. So yeah, you Western people, how long do your porn videos normally last for?
I think the longest I've seen was like 20 minutes, maybe 30.
Did you sit through the whole thing?
No.
I didn't think so.
I looked at the little tracker bar, looked for that little peak in views, and went over to that like 30 seconds before that.
Wait, porn sites have that now?
I think so. I could have sworn
some of them
Pornhub has it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Pornhub does.
I stopped using Pornhub. Pornhub's bad.
It's like, oh, this is obviously where all the good stuff is. Yeah.
I don't have that. I just the place I use has it. What what category is in the video, and where it's at on the timeline. And I'm like, that's way better.
Oh, that's nice.
That's hyper specific.
But it's really nice because if you're like, say you're going on N hentai right? And you're searching for a tag or dojin, and like you're searching for a specific tag, and it happens to be one of those ones that's like 300 pages long because it has like 30 stories in it. That would be super nice to be like, oh, hey, this tag that you just came to this for is right here. That would be way nice.
Yeah, I gotta admit.
I wish I had something like that now.
Right?
Fuck.
I gotta admit, Pornhub definitely doesn't do well on their tags. Because I typed in Eastern, and then I tried Asian, and it just everything with with Asian or Eastern in the title, and I was like, no, I just want the tag.
I'm sorry. That's funny, but that's not funny. That makes me feel bad for you.
It wasn't fun.
I don't use Pornhub anymore. It's just we're not gonna talk about that. Well, no, I guess we can talk about that. They had to gut half their fucking website because most of it was illegal bullshit. But
Yep.
Can't be super mad. You can be a little mad. You can't be really mad though.
Lots of it was stolen content, sex trafficking, all sorts of non-consensual stuff. Like, it was bad.
And instead of addressing the problem, they went, there is no problem. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, okay.
Where'd half your website go, huh?
Well, it's in the archives. We still have it. I don't think they actually gutted the entire website. I'm pretty sure they just archived it.
All right, continuing on with the differences and similarities. What do we got?
Honestly, like, I didn't grow up in... Are we basically saying for the majority of this, we're kind of talking like U.S. versus Japan?
No, we can do Europe.
German dungeon porn?
Most of the porn, the Western porn I looked at is not American, as I had to comb through the videos and went, oh, that's not English. I had to listen to my videos with audio for the first time in a long time and was like, oh, they're speaking German or Italian or Dutch. There was one French girl and I was like, huh.
Gotta admit, that would be a nice accent to listen to, even if I didn't understand what they were saying.
That depends. That depends on the voice.
Well,
man, there are some rough voices.
And it is, no offense to porn actresses and actors, but I'm sure most of them don't have voice roles.
Some do, which we'll get into that later though. But like, why are they all so loud? Please, not. Sometimes I'm like, hey, shut the fuck up, and other times I'm like, I can only lower the volume so much.
I feel like it's gotta be a combination of sometimes you don't know which mic they're using to pick up the volume in the room, and then other times it's literally just them being like, all right, I've got to be loud just in case we've got somebody who gets off to the sound of all this junk.
Man, I feel bad for that person. It should never, or no, it should always be a condenser boom, or not a condenser, a dynamic boom mic over whatever it needs to be recording. And I'm like, you don't need to be that loud. Trust me, I've done this before. You do not need to be super loud. We can raise you up in post.
We need to get a porn director on here.
Good luck with that.
I'll find somebody.
But like, America's, I don't really like American porn. If you want to be like super on it, oh, real people videos, yeah, no, real people. We have to go specify because we're gonna hit a lot of topics this week. I remember back in the day. That's which is really weird to say with porn, but way back when things were normal.
Normal, as in,
so shitty acting, relatively okay lighting. We're gonna do the thing and then we're gonna fade to black and that's it. I'm like, yeah, I remember that's how things used to be, but now everything, there's so much more theatrics in American porn, but like they're all bad theatrics. So I'm like, you're trying too hard because you want to be taken seriously a little bit.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like you're a little bit wrong. Because, like, they had full-on VHS tapes and stuff back in the day.
They still do? Well, we have DVDs and Blu-rays now.
So I feel like if they were putting like 10 minutes on a VHS tape, I feel like the VHS tape cost more than the 10 minutes. Does that make sense?
You mean the VHS tape itself costs more than the set to use
Like,
for 10 minutes?
To put 10 minutes on a VHS tape, I feel like the tech back then cost more money to put it on the VHS tape than it did to get those 10 minutes.
No, because you still have to rent a place, rent equipment, get actors, get actresses. You have to pay for a crew, and so I'm gonna argue with you on that. Because all that shit is not cheap. It's never been cheap, and it will never be cheap unless you're shoestring budget.
I still feel like they must have had at least 30 to 60 minute stuff on those VHS tapes.
I'll meet you at 45, and like that's like a maximum.
Yeah, which sounds like about average for today's standards still.
No.
So minimal story of, oh, let's call and order a pizza. Oh, pizza boy's hot. Oh, now we're having sex. And pizza boy leaves and black the screen.
It depends on how long they're fucking too. Sometimes they fuck for a long time. Sometimes it's the 9-minute videos you see on the websites, and that's it. And you're like, oh, they just cut out all the fluff. And it's like, okay, I can appreciate that, I think. Well, now I can't, but to be young again.
Minka, you got any input?
I'm still kind of trying to figure out exactly what you guys are trying to differentiate between with Eastern and Western. Like, when you talk about these super long, are you talking about anime versus like Western, more live action?
No.
So you're talking live action Japanese / Chinese / any live action stuff.
Yes. Where did you get lost at the beginning? Me and Pews hit a left turn, you hit a right turn.
Yeah, because like
for the last like 4 minutes we've been talking about Western porn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So live action Japanese porn, you're saying is super long.
Yes.
Okay. I guess I haven't seen a whole lot of what you're talking about, so I guess I can't input too much on that. Because the bits of like the more Eastern porn that I've seen were usually like pretty small sets, like small kind of clips, like not nearly as big of a showpiece as a lot of the Western stuff that I've seen.
I was going to say, when I was doing my research, it seemed like either they were going to be very short, very specific clips, or very long, in-depth videos.
And I
say, are y'all watching clips or videos? Because I typically
I mean, like, it'd be like, instead of the 5 minutes of like sex in westerns, it'd be
yeah, so like a lot of the stuff I've seen is shorter. I have not seen anything that's super long. Like Western stuff I've seen, like there was that whole basically like Pirates of the Caribbean porn that was made. Like they've made whole movie spoofs based off different franchises that are all about porn. Like they've gone and like I've seen Left 4 Dead things that have been made where they've tried to recreate the different monsters from Left 4 Dead to do porn. I've seen Mass Effect stuff. Like I feel like Western, from what my personal experience is, has made it a much bigger production than what I've seen from Eastern porn.
From what I could see and find out, it looks like Western is much more into the like spoofing and parody of like more mainstream ideas, whereas Eastern stuff is an exaggeration on like just everyday life stuff.
Right, yeah. Western, it seems to be like kind of that corporate idea of like, let's jump on anything that's making money right now and see if we can, you know, like make a porn of it and make money off of that because it's popular. Whereas Eastern, and also that's from my experience, that's a newer thing with Western porn as well. But yeah, with Eastern stuff, it seems...
Newer as in what? Like the last 30 years? Because I feel like even going back 30 years, we were seeing like Indiana Jones spoofs and stuff.
maybe. I was like I never saw
we'd have to
that
go
kind
pretty
of
far
stuff. Like, well, I would say like maybe 20 years or so from what I've seen, but like also, you know, it's quite possible that stuff was there before I was actually looking at porn, and I'm not going to go look up really old porn because like trends change, and there's a lot of trends from the past that I didn't really care for. But like that is another thing with Western porn is like from my perspective, from what I've seen, there's been a shift, because I feel like when I was first discovering porn, it was when what's his butt, basically the king of porn was around, and like he's not an attractive guy, but he was
I don't think I know who you're talking about, but keep going. But yeah, I definitely feel like alt doesn't explore Western as much, because there's definitely a lot more long form content that's much more. I don't think I've seen any long form that's not parody genre, though. I will say that. Like, I don't think we're gonna see in Western stuff, wife and husband sneaking off away from their kids to have sex at a hotel or whatever. Whereas in Eastern, it seems like that's a lot of the story plots is sneaking off to do this or that, or much more taboo everyday stuff.
Right. The guy's name is Ron Jeremy.
The name sounds familiar.
Okay, so at least it sounds familiar. But he was kind of like one of the most well-known like male porn actors. But he's not super attractive. I think part of his fame came possibly from his cock. I'm not sure. But I feel like when I was first discovering porn, a lot of it was based on the male perspective. Because it was like, I'm not going to show you the male in this clip. You're just going to, at best, see kind of the cock or whatever. And even then, half the time when they were showing men in the porn, they were not necessarily super attractive or even all that skinny. And there was kind of this idea that was who the porn was for. That was the main target audience of the porn. And so they were kind of showing that off to
the more
bring those people in so they could
ugly smug guy.
Yeah, to kind of be able to bring in those people so they could relate to it more. Whereas, and that was also during the time when like most porn stars were addicted to drugs, because drugs were rampant in the porn community, and like there was also a lot of sex trafficking and non-consensual stuff. And then as time has gone on, those issues became more apparent and have been fought against, and so you have a lot more of this. They're still very highly stylized and, you know, showy porn, but you also have a lot of these more natural, almost amateurish seeming videos, even if they are professionals, because people are starting to realize that porn is watched by most people, and so there's not just a single target audience anymore. And so I feel like Western porn has kind of had that evolution over the past, 4 or 5 decades.
Right. Whereas in Eastern cultures, it's still very heavily looked down upon for that kind of stuff. So it hasn't needed to evolve past, like, sneaking off to have sex and stuff.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's, like, in America, porn is still technically taboo, but not nearly as much as it was. Like, obviously, you're not going to have, like, anybody in the government talking about it, or, like, the heads of companies talking about it, because it's still taboo enough that could cause problems, but the majority of people are really starting to talk about it and become more comfortable, especially as like millennials are getting older, as Gen Z is getting older. Like,
sex shops aren't like hidden in the back of the rental DVD shop anymore. They're able to actually advertise themselves.
Yeah. And, and it is, I think it is kind of hard for any of us, all three of us, to really speak on Eastern porn in that aspect because none of us live there. None of us grew up there. So we haven't really been there to see, what changes have happened. But I do know that, yeah, in Japan, like, it is still more taboo than it is here. Like, sexuality is still taboo while also being, a huge thing for them. But a lot of that often comes from the more you try to press something down, the more it kind of like fights back. But I'm sure there's still a lot of stuff that they are kind of trending behind with other countries that have become more open and more sexual.
Is it? I mean, you can still call it trending behind, but at the same time, couldn't it also be forming their own new trends? Because, like, sure, we've moved on past the, like, taboo nature of, oh, some guy's gonna hook up with you, pornography, but they've probably made that niche so stylized and fresh that it's still relevant. Because I'm sure you or I could still watch some Eastern stuff based on a wife and husband sneaking off, and we'd get plenty of enjoyment.
I get what you're saying, and someone who knows a lot more and gets paid a lot more would probably be able to answer that a lot better. Well, I don't get paid at all to research porn, so somebody who gets paid
Very
at all. But I would think that if you kind of were to break it down, you would probably see some trends that are happening the same. And yeah, like I definitely think that every country, every person has their own take on porn that's going to kind of create its own niche. And even if they are like, if you could find a trend and be like, okay, yeah, they're about at this point, whereas all of these countries have hit that point and moved past or whatever, like if you could find some underlying trends still hitting it at a point when technology is increasing, all this different kind of stuff is increasing, like, yeah, they're going to have some unique and interesting takes on it that everybody else didn't because they didn't have the same availability and equipment and all of that at the time when they were doing that kind of stuff. But, like, also, tentacle porn came from Eastern porn. Like,
yeah, from my understanding, tentacles were used quite literally in substitute of penises because of censorship.
Okay, so like in drawings and stuff?
Yeah, it was much more the idea of, oh, I can't use a penis because I'm going to need so much censorship. What can we use that is very phallic shaped?
I know I've known the history of tentacle porn because like of how much I'm into it, but I just can't think. I just got over 2 weeks of COVID, so my brain is mush.
Fair enough. Getting ready for this chat, I did watch 2 interviews.
Okay.
One with a younger, and at least in the porn industry, woman, and then one with a gentleman who was credited as the Japanese father of porn.
Okay.
As in, I guess he was one of the first men on the scene, or at least one of the biggest names in the scene, that is. And it looks like they've definitely evolved similar to Western, but not at such an extreme rate. Like in his interview, he was talking about how he was just in a shot or two for like 2 seconds, and that was all. And then she was talking about how she would come onto the set and be there for 24 hours doing shoots.
Gotcha.
So, it seems like, at least back in the day, it was much less involved, at least on the men's side.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, at least on the women's side, it sounds like they go just as hard at filming porn as they do in their work lives in Japan.
Yeah, I actually saw a thing the other day, too, where, like, a girl living in Japan wore a short skirt just around the city, like, just above her knees. And one of the first things that happened to her was she was approached and asked if she was interested in working doing adult films. So I think it is a thing that is probably growing right now over there. And so it's becoming more like a job, just like you said. And they're actively like being more open about trying to get probably women, especially because women are generally highly more sexualized than men. So yeah, so I'm sure that they're going through their own porn revolution, as it were.
But it's definitely stuff that now that Alt's brought this topic up, I definitely want to look more into it and see what's changed and stuff. So we may end up having to revisit this kind of subject. Hopefully with somebody with some actual experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would love to talk to some people that have actually been in the industry. And it would be awesome to talk to people who have been in the industry in different countries and to get that feedback on how different it was in the different places. Like, that would be really cool to hear.
I have noticed when also in the interviews, it seems like Eastern porn can get a lot more specific on what they want in the shot and like what genre they're going for. Like in Western porn, we seem to just kind of film and try to hit as many boxes as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Eastern, it seems like they want to hit like a very specific target audience with their clips and shorter videos. Like in one video, the guy had done early on in his career, he quite literally was just kneeling between the woman's legs, catching her pee in a bowl. And I feel like, unless he was doing something like just off the cuff and random, it seems like that's a lot more specific than I've seen most Westerns get. Yeah,
even with a lot of the modern Western stuff, I definitely feel like they do tend to be fairly generalized. And, you have sites like kink.com that absolutely hit more of the kinky, fetishy stuff, but a lot of the generic porn stays fairly vanilla, and it's just like, oh, this is all about just getting railed hard, or the cum shot, or getting cum all over. Like, it's a lot less specific in the stuff I've seen. But also, I do tend to these days go more towards like 3D stuff and drawn stuff, just because there's a much smaller chance that anybody is being exploited or anything like that. Like it is nice to see some of the bigger names and see their porn, and it's like, oh, okay, like I feel pretty good about this, but even then you could never know for sure. Like, because, I don't know these people. Like, they could have not even be the ones in charge of their social media. They could be completely getting fucked over, or they could be fucking other people over that they're putting in their videos. Like, you never know, which is sad. You'd like to believe that everybody is a willing participant and everybody's getting paid well and all of that, but unfortunately, it's not a thing that we can really know for sure.
I definitely think that's where amateur stuff starts to have pros over the professionals, because a lot of amateurs, especially at least in the Western stuff I watch, they talk to each other and like come to agreements on, hey, who's going to film this and who's going to film that, and just kind of, it seems a lot more fair.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like about 5 years ago is when I personally saw a real like growth in the amateur porn side of things, because there was a bunch of websites that popped up. Actually, with this point, time is weird with the pandemic. Probably 5 to 10 years ago, somewhere in that time. But like, there were a bunch of websites that popped up where it was like, hey, like, upload your own porn, and like, you can make money off of it if it gets popular, that kind of stuff. But yeah, like in those, a lot of times you were seeing actual couples or people that knew each other, and not just actors and actresses who, like, the sad story is you hear from some of these actresses especially, that like a lot of them haven't been able to come for a long time, and so it's just like it literally is just acting, you know. And so some of this stuff is far more real, and some people relate to that really well because it's realistic bodies, it's realistic communication, like it's all a lot more relatable, honestly. But that's not what everyone wants. Not everyone wants to be able to relate to their porn. Some people want to see a specific thing to be able to get off to it, you know?
Right. Which I feel like even in at least the last few years, thanks to COVID, even the like more niche and specific kinks that people have, even the amateurs are starting to capitalize on that and become more on top of things than the professionals are, because the pros just want, like we said earlier, a vague top cover of everything and anything people might like, whereas the amateur people find their audiences that are like gonna give them tons of money for shoving something up their butt or whatever.
Right. I mean, look at how big OnlyFans is. Like, all of these people, guys and girls, I would say mostly femme-looking people, and still, sadly, most with, you know, stereotypically beautiful bodies and skinny and big boobs and that kind of stuff, do the best. But all of these people who would never have been able to make money off of porn or anything can now suddenly make a living off of it. And some of them aren't even going full porn. Some it's just like, you know, like either softcore stuff or even just alluding to sex and wearing lingerie and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, professionally taboo.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's fantastic that people are able to take that power for themselves. And, you know, a lot of guys will get mad and be like, oh, well, girls can just get whatever they want by using their bodies. And it's like, you don't seem to understand that women have been highly sexualized throughout most of human history. Like, yes, that is a thing that some women, and like we're living in a time when more women than usual are being able to reclaim that power, but it is something that has been used to put us down for centuries. Like for millennia. Like it's not even just centuries, it's millennia. So the fact that like so many are starting to be able to regain that power and take that power for themselves is, to me, an extremely beautiful thing. And like if people don't like it, stop paying for it, you know? Like they're only popular because other people are paying for it. But that's not how it's going to work, because at the end of the day, even if you get rid of all the people who do it in a misogynistic way or whatever, like we're all still humans and we still all love sexy things, so that kind of stuff is always going to sell. And hopefully it evens out to where, you know, guys and girls have an even chance to be able to do that kind of stuff, because we're all treated the same, and like guys or women become only sexualized as much as men are sexualized, and so it's like an even playing field. But I don't know that that'll ever happen, because that's a problem that's been around for so long that none of us know how to fix it.
I have seen, at least with a lot of the people I follow on my different social medias, a lot of the guys, I'm sure they're not making nearly as much as the women, but a lot of the guys do have OnlyFans set up. It may be they're only pulling in like $10-20 a month from it, but I feel like even men are starting to realize that they can like find their niche and like use their objectification to their
benefit as well.
That's the words I'm looking for.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I would also agree, probably not nearly as many men as there are women on
for sure
OnlyFans, but yeah, no, I know there are plenty on there that actually make a lot of money. And, you know, part of that is reclaiming the power of sexuality, reclaiming your own sexuality, and like being able to claim your power from objectification. But that also means if you're going to do something like that, you unfortunately have to be able to like deal with the fact that you are making money from being objectified, which means you are being objectified and you're still going to get comments, you're still going to get stuff, like you're still going to have people like picking apart your looks, picking apart your body, picking apart every part of you. And so you have to be able to deal with that to be able to reclaim that power, which is sad, but currently at least is a truth of the thing, you know? And so I know there are plenty of people who post on there and like they don't ever look at comments or anything. It's just like, hey, here's the new set, and then, you know, they bounce. Because nobody wants to hear everybody's fucking opinion about how they think they should look, or their opinion on, like, you know, some rando's opinion on your body. Like, fuck that shit. Like, you shouldn't be sharing that shit in the first place. You don't know this person. You're not entitled to their time or anything, you know? But it is the sad truth is that you do have to kind of be willing to accept that, or find ways to deal with it that don't absolutely destroy you.
I do think that's one thing, unfortunately, that as humans we may never be able to fully move past, is the objectification of the people around us. Because I feel like everybody, at least in some small way, sees themselves as the main character, which there's nothing wrong to do in your life, because I'd hope you treat yourself better than an NPC. But at that same time, I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm the main character. I'll look at whoever I want, however I want. Yes. And I don't know if... I think we'll come to healthier ways of seeing that, but I don't think we'll ever get to a point where people don't look at anyone around them sexually or objectifyingly.
Sadly, I think you may be right, and you've definitely hit the nail on the head. Like, that is a big problem with our world, and especially here in America over the past, like, 5-6 years, and longer than that, but, like, it's really come to a head over this past bit. But it's, everybody has that mentality of, yeah, main character. And so it produces a selfish people that only care about their own opinions, only care about themselves, like... Everyone else, yeah, is a side character in their story, and it has created a world where it is like, I'm more important than everyone else, instead of like, hey, we're all humans, let's work together. And it is so prevalent in the human psyche that, yeah, it probably will never, sadly, ever go away. And so we're kind of stuck dealing with it, and... so everyone does judge each other, and that's the other part of it too, though, is like everyone is attracted to different people. Like, you do not control who you are attracted to, so there's always going to be people that find you attractive and people that don't. And so when everybody is feeling like they need to put out their opinion on someone else because, you know, they're just the side character, and so I'm going to say whatever I want about them, like, you're going to have people that just are not attracted to you deciding that they need to tell you how ugly you are or this or that. And so I think the only way we can really kind of start to get away from that is for people to kind of sit back and shut the fuck up and realize, like, hey, nobody needs to hear that, and it's not important, and, like, I'm not that important either.
I do think that this main character thought process that a lot of people have been delving into, when it becomes so toxic that you're objectifying everybody around you, I think that's also what's made, like, that may be the downside to thinking your main character, but I think that's also what's made so many people, at least in the last 5 to 10 years, step up to the plate and start making their own content, is that they've realized they're the main characters of their own life. They'll do whatever the hell they want to, and if you want to pay to see it, they will.
I could possibly see that being the case. I could also see it just being like not necessarily even related to that, but just seeing an opportunity there where it's just like, hey, if I'm going to be sexualized and objectified anyway, like, I might as well make some money off of it. Right.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not that as well. I feel like it's definitely a combination of the two things, where even the, like, less attractive people by modern day standards have realized that there's still people out there that will objectify them, and why not use that to their benefit. just a main character who's down on their luck sort of thing, and from where I'm seeing it.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
Did you figure out what was wrong with the lounge's bathroom?
I don't.
I'm physically impressed you came up with something that elaborate and like actually situational. No.
Oh, so the toilet tentacles are still at it. Gotcha.
Well, now that you're back, perfect segue. So I actually did look this up as a refresher, and I knew this, but like one of the earliest known portrayals of tentacle porn was 1814.
Holy crap!
Yeah, the Japanese artist that did the. Give me your name.
This shit's really old. I could literally go crack open my history of hentai book and tell you, because I know what you're talking about.
So you know the classic, like
the
tsunami.
I don't.
The
I
tsunami
don't know what it's
painting.
called, but yeah.
Puce, you know that one?
Yeah, the one where there's like just a giant tsunami on the horizon.
Yeah, very.
Not the horizon,
but like it's the
enough.
Forefront. But yeah. So that same artist did a picture in the book. I'm sure you've heard of this, The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife.
Yeah.
Where she is having sex with two octopi, basically. So that is, as far as I know, the first known portrayal of tentacle sex. But
do you know why they did that? I'll take your silence as a no.
Well, no, go ahead.
So the artist did that to get around the formal feudal Japan's new law of pornography, because you couldn't draw a dick. So he drew tentacles.
I brought this up earlier.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And they haven't changed the law ever since.
Well,
literally 200-year-old law. You can draw a dick, but it's supposed to be censored. But as we go, the more time goes on, the less people care. So that's why people just draw dicks now and no one cares.
That's why there's two little tiny censor bars on the tip.
Typically, most people don't give a fuck anymore.
Hold on. I'm checking that.
Something stuck to my brain and I remembered that.
So nothing I can find seems to allude to that being the case. And so that might be a well-known myth, is that because I mean the octopus that is on her vagina is clearly giving her cunnilingus. It's eating her out. It's not shoving a tentacle in there. So like I would believe that it's not because of a censorship of male penises. But an interesting thing I just found is Picasso did his own version of this in the early 1900s, and has done other paintings based off of it as well through his time in painting. The first depiction in film that they have on record of actual like tentacle was done in America, not Japan, in 1970 in a film called The Dunwich Horror, which makes sense. It's Lovecraft. Lovecraft loves tentacles. And then again in 1981 with The Evil Dead, in which a woman is penetrated by a tree. So not technically tentacles, but like kind of, because in that movie they are the tree branches are very tentacly. So it's the first tentacle penetration in Japanese anime didn't appear until 1986. So America had actually already done tentacle penetration in movies before the first known anime did it. So I feel like that is a actually very interesting thing to have learned, and I didn't know as much about tentacle porn as I thought I had, where yes, it more or less originated from Japan, but America were the ones that like first started to put it into mainstream media, according to what I'm reading. It's possible there could be other information out there, but yeah, according to what I'm reading, that's kind of where it all came from. But I also
did you know Americans make everything dirty.
Yeah, we are pretty perverted. But I didn't know the stuff about Picasso. Like, that's fascinating to me. It was for his private collection, but he was a kinky motherfucker.
Yeah. Artists usually are. All right. Oh, you've missed quite a lot.
Blame
what would you like to
Spectrum.
talk about?
I guess I guess we could just hit the next two topics. Life after retirement, because man, I can name like 3 Western porn stars. One, I can tell you what she's doing now. That, and Japan has like a whole culture for what you do after you retire, and I'm like, what? Why don't we have something like that?
Because they're too old. Their time is done. We don't care about them anymore. They're too ugly and got too many wrinkles, and they're...
Mia Khalifa's like 34.
Right? It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's old and disgusting.
No, it's disgusting that's how we treat them, you know? And especially because a lot of the ones that have retired came from that older generation where I feel like it wasn't really a healthy kind of job to have, and so there were like lots of body modifications, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, a lot of times they do end up kind of fucked up after, or even if they're not, they're treated like they're trash now that they're in their 30s.
I'd like to pause. She's 29. My bad.
So not even in their 30s.
But like, I don't know where the fuck you went off with that. I was just gonna say, I know she worked at Rooster Teeth after her whole porn career, and now she's doing something else. But I don't know what it is, but I know she's doing something. I couldn't tell you any other retired American porn stars and what they're up to now.
I think they move on to just normal life.
I'm hoping so. Maybe.
Like I'm hoping with the kind of the evolution we talked about with Western porn that like they are getting to a point where it's like, okay, well, you know, I'm not making as much money because now I'm not fitting that niche. Like
now I'm not a hot young 20-year-old.
Yeah, and
oh man,
so I can move on to something else. We've talked about a lot of stuff.
Because I was gonna say we can hit that right after this. Because like I can tell you what Shibuya Kaho is doing, because she fucking basically works for Geeks Plus now, but not really. Tell you what Hitomi Tanaka's doing.
Actually, like speaking of ages and stuff, I feel like that is a common factor between Western and Eastern porn, is the fetish of basically like infantilism. I don't know if that's the exact way you pronounce that word, but basically like really liking girls looking young, you know, because like how many porn sites in Western are all about the teens, it's the teens, like, and then in Eastern culture, you know, like, oh, the schoolgirls, like
schoolgirls aren't really a thing no more.
It still is,
like,
just not as
not
big
really
anymore.
Nah, dog, it's literally older women who are like more mature. That's like the number one thing now. And I went, they learned
From the
as a society.
I've watched though, I think
how
that's
old are
just
those
because
interviews?
of COVID.
How old are those interviews though?
Last year.
With interviews with who though?
A retired female Japanese actress.
Who, nigga, who?
I don't know her name.
Oh my
God. I remember
God.
things from yesterday? Crazy.
Man, it's like you would have bookmarked the webpage to have it up as a reference.
I'll find it.
Man,
Maybe
it should be
30
like
seconds.
the first few things in your YouTube history. I know Kaho's like 30 or about to hit her 30s, because she's older than, I think she's older than all 3 Trash Taste Boys. I'm pretty sure. And Hitomi's like damn near 40. Does not look like it. Couldn't tell you. But like, yeah, they both just became streamers, and I went, what? And then they're like, yeah, we're friends with such and such, who are also streamers. I'm like, so when you retire from JAV, your hobbies just become things again? You just become a streamer? It's like, apparently that's the case. And I'm like, oh, that's neat. Don't know how safe that is, but yeah. And then we got America, who's just like, we disappear and fade into obscurity. It's like, well, how old are you? 25. And you're like, what?
I mean, yeah, hopefully they actually are doing the same thing, just going off and having their own lives. But, you know, it from what you've kind of talked about, it seems like in Japan, at least, like they kind of get to keep that popularity and write it into something else. Whereas here in America, it's like, oh, well, you know, you can write into something else, but that popularity is dead because you're not posting your pussy anymore, so nobody cares.
That's fair. Because the video I did literally up until we started recording, there's a place in Japan that literally opened towards the tail end of Japan's second lockdown. I think that's what he said. I wasn't paying attention because it's an intro. They literally bring in active and retired JAV actresses, and they're like, you can work here for X amount of time until whatever, but you can go there, you can talk to them, you can hang out with them with, you know, COVID precautions in mind. And like, we ain't got nothing like that here at all.
Yeah.
Like, I know we have adult conventions, but like, I haven't been to one. I don't know anyone that's been to one, so I can't really speak on who shows up. I'm sure they get porn stars and whatnot, but
Special Lusty Lounge episode in the future? Maybe.
yeah, if people pay for it. I'm poor right now. Also, I was gonna say, I understand why you didn't know what their name was, because it's not in the title of the video unless you posted it here.
It's pronounced Emily, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Emily. Okay. Oh, that's right. Japan and their R's and their L's.
They don't have L's in their language.
In the interview I watched yesterday, she talked about how...
You know that.
Crap. I already lost what I was talking about. What was I going to talk about?
I don't know. I tune you in and out sometimes and just let you talk.
Oh, right. I remember. The fact that in Eastern porn, at least Japanese porn specifically, the rise of dominant women in the porn. At least...
Yes, I can see that. After playing the last few Yakuza games and, like, looking up certain tags, yeah.
The people she's talked to in her, like, area, most of them believe that it's because of COVID's rise that Japanese men want a woman to come in and tell him what to do.
Okay, so in my brain, those dots don't connect, but, like, I guess I could kind of get it.
Because she says that rise, at least in Japan, didn't come up until a few years ago, right when COVID started.
It could be tied to COVID, or again, it could just be kind of where they were trending.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so it could have been coincidence. But that also would line up with Alt, what you were saying, where they are looking more now at, like, these more mature women, because, like, it's now more about these men going and being like, oh, I want a woman to dominate me, because, like, for those who don't know, Japanese work lives are
terrible.
Yeah,
shitty,
they're terrible,
horrendous.
Like, if you fall asleep at work, that's a good thing, because people are going to be like, oh, they're a hard worker, and I can see they're really dedicated to their job. Like, there is not a work-life balance for Japan. It's starting to change.
Well, hold on. We'll go with, like, 95% of jobs don't have a work-life balance, because that was Nintendo's bread and butter last year. It's like, we give our employees time off so they don't have crunch, and we're like, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Make the game.
Like I said, like, it's starting to change, because, like, it is getting more international awareness and pressure. But there are a lot of these traditional things in Japan that have still not changed, you know, like the whole thing about honor in the families and everything, and you don't ever dishonor yourself or your family. And, like, they, as far as I know, seppuku has died off. Hopefully, I would hope they even made it illegal. But
I mean, people just kind of jump off buildings now and in front of trains as a replacement. So
yeah, but there's a reason that, you know, that, trigger warning, suicide is so high there still, is because there is all that pressure. So I would hope that, you know, in the porn industry in Japan, that it's not that same thing, because obviously if you're falling asleep while you're making a porn, like, that's not going to be great. But I would be interested to see how the younger generations, which are many are just not interested in having sex or are refusing to have sex, like, I would be interested to see how that is affecting the trends of their porn as well.
I mean, I can give you a bit of insight.
Yeah, no, I would love that. Yeah.
Literally, it comes down to relationships are expensive, jobs aren't paying well, and it's far easier to be secluded, and it all comes back to the fucking idols, I swear to God. It's a lot cheaper to have a favorite idol than it is to keep a girlfriend, because you can just have a fake parasocial relationship with person instead of having a real relationship, which takes, time and effort and money. Well, I mean, I guess parasocial relationships take a little bit of money, but not to the extent of a real relationship. But that's kind of like, it all comes down to money and idols, which I fucking hate, but I understand. I'm like, damn.
Right. Like Japan even came up with a term that basically stands for like extreme shut-in, which, means we kind of have a term for it in English too, but like it's hikikomori. Hikikomori.
Close enough.
No, it's Hikikomori. Hikikomori. And it's for people that are literally choosing to not get jobs, not do anything, just live in their parents' houses and become extreme recluses.
Couldn't be me. I gotta get the fuck away from these old people.
And and that's why you see these things about like the government being like, please have sex, like, because the population is not really increasing in Japan. Like, it's a nationwide issue.
I'm telling you, if I can figure out how the visa works for them bringing people in to have children, I'm going to figure it out. I'm just going to leave. Excuse me. I will get the fuck out of this godforsaken country and I will not come back. We'll continue the podcast somehow. I'm gonna be gone. I try to figure it out. Fuck this country.
Something we did talk about. Do you know who Ron Jeremy is?
He's a porn dude. Old porn dude. Is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
That's unfortunate.
And dealing with a lot of rape charges.
Yeah, because
okay,
yeah,
so my
that was brought up
my
during
random claim was okay.
That was brought up while you were gone, but we were talking about the evolution of Western porn and how, like, during his time there was a very specific, like, male gaze emphasis on Western porn, where it was just like, we're not even going to show the man, we're just going to show the cock. And then sometimes when we do show the men, they're going to be not necessarily the super, like, athletic or even skinny or good looking people, because, like, we want it to be relatable to the people we believe are our target audience.
I mean, that's what Japan does. They just do it poorly. I mean, I guess it's working, but, like, from anyone else's perspective, it's like, y'all don't look like that. Who is this for? Y'all do not look like a generic faceless buff man.
Yeah, but
stop that.
People also create their own images of themselves in their heads. So, like, you can want to believe you're somebody and be like, oh, look at all these muscles I have while I'm fucking this super hot chick. Like, something else that I did want to talk on, because you did bring up Europe. I feel, again, this is based on my own experiences, but I feel like a lot of the European porn that I ended up seeing was shit that can't be made in America legally.
Nigga, what?
That's when, like, German dungeon porn, like, was kind of the start of it, and then I feel like that's where a lot of the bestiality comes from, and those were my experiences of the types of European porn that I was seeing, is stuff that couldn't be made legally in America.
You know what, Puce? For once, I don't mind being not as aggressive, because, nigga, what? That's not at all my experience, but you stay over there. I need a water bottle. I need a fucking spray bottle. I gotta find the spray bottle effect.
No, but
Jesus
that's the thing,
Christ.
is like...
I know what you're talking about, but
Right.
I tend to... I need a VPN and like 18 other things to keep you protected and off lists to look at stuff like that.
This was like when I was... Because again, like, the fact that you guys kind of know who Ron Jeremy is, like, for me, feels like I was kind of exploring porn before you guys were, and that does not make me by any means any more of an expert or anything, but like I feel like those were the things I was running into during that early exploration phase. And
Minka?
like, again, that's why like I kind of hold on. That's why I kind of like started with like, oh, hey, this is Western porn, because it's just like when you're first looking at porn, that's kind of what you find. And then, you know, fairly quickly in my porn exploration started turning to drawn porn and hentai and that kind of stuff.
Minka,
Yes.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to need you to not get mad at me, okay?
Uh-huh.
Promise?
I promise.
You're older than us.
Yeah, exactly. Which is
That's why
why...
you started looking at porn sooner than us.
That's
Beat
what
him,
I'm
Minka.
saying. No. It's absolutely true. And that's what I'm saying is like, you know, what you guys will have experienced in kind of your exploration of porn is going to be different than what I experienced.
I've already told this story. I didn't start with real people. I started off with the squiggles, as my friend so lovingly put it yesterday.
All it's got is 2D waifus, and that's it.
No, listen, there are some women out in this world. I'm just like, if I wasn't an overweight black man, goddamn, if I knew how to speak to other human beings, you would be in trouble, but in a good way.
If I
don't
was
know how to phrase
I
that.
was skinny, in shape,
Yes, essentially.
could
If
talk
I
to
was,
people, was more outgoing,
If I was not
and I
me...
knew you,
if I
could
wasn't exactly, if I
possibly
wasn't
get to know
me,
you.
because I feel like thirst is appreciated, but up until a point, and everyone's point is different, both of giving thirst and receiving it, and it's too much effort trying to find it for everyone, man. So I'm just like, just don't be thirsty. Just don't. Just always have a bottle of water with you just in case.
I think that's another... Gatorade. Get those electrolytes.
Yeah.
I think that's another beauty, though, of like amateur porn and like things like OnlyFans is it's like, you know, more people are able to put out more stuff now. So, you know, if you're into something, chances are nowadays you can find it, whether it be somebody doing it themselves, a professional thing, a drawn thing, like whatever, you know, like chances are you can find it.
Yeah, but like talking to people is still hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't like doing it. It's hard. First impressions are not my thing. You don't really get to know me until you spend some time with me, which is something I don't know how to work on. So yeah, gonna move on because we're getting way too fucking personal. So you guys want to talk about 3D stuff like what our nice friend Beetlebomb does? Because there's the fucking comparisons to what the Japanese and the Americans are doing is wild.
I don't think I've seen Japanese and Eastern 3D stuff.
I was gonna go ahead.
I would say that like I've seen some, what are they called? Like MMEs or something?
Yeah, MMDs. So
MMDs.
close.
Okay.
I gotta give it to you.
Thank you.
Matt, you knew, so I wouldn't have to. Well, I mean, we still gotta describe it for Pews, but you knew what it was. Thank you.
Yeah, so they're there, but I feel, well, and it's still definitely a emphasis on the anime style from most of what I've seen.
Okay, I was gonna say
Yeah, from most of what I've seen. Whereas, you know, 3D is generally a more realistic human version, but also kind of like we talked about this earlier as well. But a lot of them are based off of different franchises, different things that are popular. It's not, you know, you're not necessarily getting 3D stuff of like, oh, hey, this porn actress. It's like, oh, hey, here's Lara Croft. Oh, hey, here's Princess
Overwatch.
Peach. Here's Overwatch. So I feel like that's a big thing. But at the same point, when it comes to the MMDs, I feel like they are also now hitting popular items like the Vocaloids.
Oh, homie, you're like 10 years late on that.
Well, sure. But like that's,
seen things.
I feel like that's those were the first MMDs I started to see. Was a lot of the Vocaloid stuff.
Well, yeah, you know what MMD stands for, right?
I don't.
Miku Dance.
Oh, okay. That actually makes a lot more sense. So yeah.
Did you guys describe whatever this is to me, or did I black out?
Hold on, I got you. I can make it super simple for him.
Okay.
All right, so Puce, you ready?
Yes.
You know how our nice friend Beetlebomb does stuff?
Yep.
Now imagine, instead of them being like people, they're cartoon and anime characters. And not as high polygon, but way more sophisticated movement.
Okay. I don't think my brain can picture that.
It's not
3D anime.
Hold on.
Characters.
Have you seen Ruby?
Oh no! If it's that art style, I hate it.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
yes, some of it is, some of it isn't. It depends on the models they pull and if people want to make their own models.
right, but it's generally still going to be closer to like an anime style, so more. I mean, animated. It's cartoon stuff, whereas 3D is still cartoon, still animated, but again, more realistic looking characters ish. Obviously, realistic ish, because even Beetlebomb, like the stuff he does, is not something that human bodies can do.
What do you have against Ruby? What do you have against Ruby?
I hate the art style. It looks ugly.
Have you seen anything past season 3?
Nope.
Oh, well, they changed
If
the art style
if
twice.
I have to watch something for 3 seasons before I can
They
stand
change art
looking at the
styles?
screen, then I'm not going to watch it.
Man, you would not do well in my house at all.
I hate that art style so much. It makes me
Well,
want to vomit.
You'll be good to know they changed it twice.
Good.
Now it's more anime
Did it get
looking.
better or worse?
It's alright. I'm just waiting on Volume 9 to see if they kill off any more characters before I just completely get done with the show. Series? Franchise? I guess it's a franchise. Watch the Ruby anime. Like, Studio Shaft made a Ruby anime, and god damn does it look good.
So, do you see what we're saying though? Is it's like it's still 3D, but like
Ikemen.
it's definitely more anime style, more cartoony.
Why did you have stuff ready to pull up?
Because I have the internet at my fingers.
That's right. Y'all don't download stuff. I forgot. Forgot y'all don't.
Google.
No, I download my things to come back later. Like most of the stuff in my collection, I haven't even looked at yet. So, but like I feel Miku Dance stuff has been better recently because someone finally ripped out the models from Xenoblade 2, and I saw some nice Pyra and Mithra things and went, ooh, that looks better than what I saw a year ago. This doesn't make me want to question my life and all the decisions leading up to it.
Oh my god, there's
But like most of it isn't porn though. Like it's about 50-50 at this point. Most of it is literally just your favorite characters dancing to catchy J-pop and K-pop songs while doing dances, and like
sometimes
that's what
naked,
it started
sometimes
out
not.
as. Well, starting out with clothes and then the clothes coming off in between cuts as the song progresses.
Yeah,
that's my
pretty
experience.
popular. Yeah, I would agree.
Like, yup, Japan does 3D, but they do it very limitedly, sparingly. I need to get a spray bottle for you.
Yeah, it's not a cube. Yeah. No Minka spray bottle.
I need to get a spray bottle for you.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We used the last of it last episode.
You're right. You're right. Can't. Yup. Please, if you haven't, go listen to our Pokemon video, because when that hits a certain number, we're gonna do a thing, and I don't want to do it because it's a bunch of fucking work. It is so much work.
I'm not gonna lie. Thank God you remembered what episode it was, because I couldn't.
You just said that to say it, which that's fair. I do that a lot.
I committed to the bit,
and it paid off.
People have done a lot. Well, I've seen a ton of Dojin. Do you know if they've done MMDs with what is the I am blanking the name. Fuck COVID. It's I don't. Is it Excalibur that has
From Soul Eater?
That has like the female Arthur and like.
She's talking about something totally different.
You're talking about Fate, okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
fate.
Okay, one. I gotta sit like
Now I
18
can only
things straight.
imagine Rule 34 with Excalibur from Soul Eater.
Oh, that's what you're... Oh, no.
You said Excalibur, and I'm just like, Soul Eater.
I
Or
get
Fire
That was
Force.
three different brains just now. Minka thinking about whatever she was trying to think of. All
Fate?
thinking of Soul Eater. And me thinking of Excalibur, the sword from medieval times.
It actually
Yes, I
looks
know
like
that's-
they may not have too many with those models. I know there's a shit ton of Dojin.
Hold on.
Dojin.
Stop. I need to
Dojin.
stop you.
No, I won't stop. Can't stop. Go ahead.
So, first of all, that character is not called Excalibur. That's
No, it's-
Saber.
No, that's what I
Saber
couldn't remember.
represents-
I
okay.
was trying to remember the name of the show. Because there was also that other show that was called... It was the name of a sword. A type of sword.
That doesn't
What?
help me.
Hold on.
That's so many different swords, Minka. I can't. You don't narrow it down like that.
Claymore.
Oh my, no, no. Claymore is far too, no.
Yeah, no,
That's
but
old, isn't
I was thinking
Yes,
Fate, but
Claymore is
Claymore
fairly
is the
old.
one that I was trying to think of. So
She's not wrong. Claymores are a type of sword.
See, I was thinking of missiles.
All right, moving on to the last topic that gave me a headache. So, just art. We're just gonna art and media as a catch-all because there's a lot we could talk about in different directions we can go in. For some ungodly reason, well, no, I know why, because it's the whole Scott Pilgrim problem. Japan still loves their physical media because one, no one can take it away from you unless they physically take it away from you, which understandable. And B, most sales come from physical media, not anything else, which baffles me to this day. But you know, I didn't get a business degree. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think that's just a product of us growing up in a time where physical was the only thing everybody had.
Okay, but everyone else has moved past that.
Yeah, but still, would you prefer a physical book or a digital book?
It depends. It really does depend. If it's a book, I'll take a digital. If it's like a light novel, sure, I'll just read it on my phone or whatever. Unless I like the franchise. It is very
Okay.
much dependent
Okay.
on the franchise for me.
that's fair.
I'm not even talking about like dojins because there's so many fucking dojins. I meant like DVDs and Blu-rays because a Blu-ray for a JAV will cost you like $100, and I mean like $100 now after the yen has been obliterated. So Blu-rays are still kind of new to Japan, which is so annoying. And then they're like, yeah, DVDs. We'll just stick with DVDs. They're cheap to make. And I'm like, but we can't get good quality with DVDs.
I remember
But
one
they're
time
cheap to make.
going into FYE with my friends, and like it was stupid. We were young, and it was just stupid. But it's like, let's all go buy a porn DVD. So like we went in and like went over to the porn section, and you know, like for $20, I bought like this random.
There's a porn section in FYE.
Yes.
And so like I bought this random like lesbian porn DVD, and it's just like I don't know that I've ever watched through the whole thing. Yeah, that's yeah. Like it's so I just bought it, and it was just like I do not like this. Like I'm gonna go back to my internet with my videos because this is just weird to like sit down.
Oh, please tell me you still have it. Like
I might.
readily available because I need to. I gotta ask questions. Like, what year was that made? What year did you buy it? What year was it made?
It's at least
man.
over 10 years old. I can tell you that.
Oh my god!
Because it was
could
before
not
I
do that.
transitioned, so it was probably about 15 years ago.
Man. That is something I do think America had Japan beat on, is like the qualities of DVDs, because my cousin's first baby dad, yes, he had like I'm not exaggerating. Like clothes totes people use to store their clothes.
Mm-hmm.
He had one full of just loose discs.
Oh my god, that.
And like
No.
I looked at him and went, "We need to talk right now." Granted, I wasn't 18 yet, but I was like, "Nigga, what the fuck?" And it's like, just everything that's been released since, DVDs were a thing up until like a few years ago. And I'm like, these aren't even marked. These are just blank discs. It's like, yeah, so you have to pop it in. And by the time someone pops it in, I can have escaped by then. And I was like, I'm taking like a stack of these and I'll see you when I see you. And he was like, what? And I just took them and it's like, all right, bye. So I remember I have very clear memories, which are probably where some of my depression stems from, of putting a disc in, nothing, putting a disc in, nothing, putting a disc in. All right, here's an actual DVD. Like, we ripped the menu, the end credits, special features, all that. And I'm like, do I really want to watch this whole thing? This says 4 hours of content, and it's got like 18 girls. And I'm like, I'm not gonna remember all these faces, so I won't know what to look up when I get a computer. I'll just skip around and watch it and see what happens. And I'm just like, man, that was like 18 videos. I just sat through like 2 hours of 18 girls. I'm like, adults are weird.
If you ever want to actually sit through an entire like porn like collection, watch it with your friends, because like,
okay, that's for like jokes, haha, and comedy. I was like,
right, but that's
you
what
have
I'm
a
saying.
problem.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you ever want to be like, oh my god, I want to see how ridiculous it is, that's how you do it. Is you watch it with friends, because otherwise it's just like, oh, this is ridiculous if you're watching it by yourself.
My other problem, but like that's also for older stuff. The stuff I took, I got lucky and it was more recent, because I remember one woman from that DVD and I still follow her to this day. She has 2 kids now and it's weird.
That's interesting.
What, that she has kids?
No, that you remember who it is.
Well, she was the only one that had boobs. All the other ones had butts, and I was like, this is how I know I like boobs. Boobs are superior. Until we talk about thighs, and then it gets messy.
And now I remember why we're friends, Alt.
I didn't hear what you said, Minka.
Thick thighs save lives.
Yes, you are correct. Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, okay, if America was doing this in like the aughts to like early. What is 2011 to 2020 called? I don't know, because it's not the aughts.
The 2010s.
Sure, yeah, the 20 to 2010s. If that's what America was doing, I'm scared to know how long the typical consumer video was for Japan. Because I remember doing research on a person I'm not going to name, because I feel weird because they don't do porn no more. All her videos are, her shortest one is 45 minutes and her longest one is 3 hours. And I went, why is it 3 hours? Why? This is 3 hours of edited content, not like raw content. I was like, oh my god, I couldn't imagine being on that set.
Some porn stars originally wanted to be just actresses. Like, there was a lot that got pushed into porn because, like, they weren't making money.
She's a fucking cosplayer now. She doesn't want to be an actress.
Well, you never know. Maybe she did, or maybe she wanted to do something else.
She was a fucking sports journalist beforehand.
You never know. You don't know what she wanted to do. Like,
yes, I do. I read her book.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's different. If you heard it, not from her herself, but from her herself through a book, then okay. Yeah, I'll shut up.
It's the only example I have, but everyone else, sure. Well, this one person I'm talking about, if you have not figured out through the clues, too bad. Because I gave very specific clues that she has also given.
I was going to say, at this point, like, I'm pretty sure anybody could figure it out.
I feel like most people don't know, and that's the funniest part. Because Puce knows who it is, but he doesn't know based off the clues I've given.
Nope. Not a clue.
See, it's the best part.
You're also talking to me, Alt.
I do. I think this might have been your plan, Alt. I'm going to give you away. But I feel like this last topic has potentially led us into what we're potentially talking about for our next episode.
No.
Okay.
I mean, you're right, but you're wrong, but you're mostly wrong. I just wanted to complain about art.
Well, no, I'm talking about media in general being the last thing we talk about.
I was going to hit art because Twitter exists and we need to talk about that. We can't just not talk about that.
Well, what about Tumblr? The fact that Tumblr existed.
We're going to talk about. We are not going to speak of that website. Fucking DashCon.
I was just going to say, I feel like the struggle that pretty much any online media has is the fact that because sex is still technically taboo according to like corporations and government and shit, like banks, the people that control the money, like will pull their funding from companies and corporations if they feel that they are in any way sex related. So that's why a lot of these companies all of a sudden have to be like, oh, we're killing all sexual content, or we're doing this, like, you know, whether they actually want to or not.
Wait, hold on. You're thinking like 15 steps ahead, dog. You gotta roll that back. You gotta roll that back. I get where you're coming from, but you gotta roll that back because
I just rewinded.
No, yes, but no. So like, who was I looking up? Because I was like, okay, you have a Western art style, but your art is good. So one, confusing. So I'm like, where are you from? I was like, okay, I'll just Google Afro Bowl. It's like, oh, Canada. I was like, okay, so he makes Western porn. Okay, cool. He also has, but his Patreon is bare. They're like, there's nothing on it, and he's like, listen, if you want to support me, you can give me Patreon money, but I'm not gonna give you anything through Patreon. I'm gonna go through these other channels. I'm like, why? And then Patreon was like, yo, if it's porn, no. And I'm like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood where you were going,
that
but
makes me
not
wonder.
quite.
Well,
also,
OnlyFans become the new Patreon.
Well, OnlyFans
already kind of is.
OnlyFans, like, you were paying attention when OnlyFans almost killed all sexual content, right?
Yeah, yes. And they were like, we should probably not, because then we'll lose all of our jobs.
Yeah, like everybody was like, no, that's like literally all you're good for at this point. And they were like, so we've changed our minds.
Yeah, that's where the whole go with the different how much bank. Of our platform is porn meme came from.
I want to say like literally 99%.
Yeah, the meme is like, how much of our platform is porn? 9. And he's like, oh, that's not too bad. D8. He was, oh, never mind.
OnlyFans would have gone the way of Tumblr if they had done it, which is to say,
OnlyFans would have like, no, at least Tumblr still exists. OnlyFans wouldn't even exist at this point.
Yeah, because what it was originally intended for is still there. You can't really find it, but it's there.
I thought it was always for porn.
No.
Oh.
It was essentially it was Patreon and other Patreon-esque things, but not porn. And then people were like, can we put porn on it? And they're like, we don't care. So I've noticed that there is a marginal disparity between Western artists and Eastern artists when it comes to like titties, to the lack of a better word.
In what way?
Literally quality. I will see. I'll use Afro Bowl as an example. I like their art style. They've got them I don't know what they are. Them and Cake. Super simple art styles, but like very vibrant colors. Cake's got the now he's got Busty Boys, which I don't know where the fuck that came from. I would love to talk to them and go, hey yo, how? But like they like Beetle, also huge titties, which I'm not gonna argue about. But I don't like Cake because they do porn every once in a while. I like the super bright pastel colors. I like that the characters are actual characters, And like, that's cool. I don't get that from any of my Eastern Twitter followers, people I follow. I get super detailed characters I actually give a fuck about that from franchises, and like mildly extreme fetishes I didn't think I had until I go, oh no, there's a wiggle down there. That's not good. Because I feel like the Western porn is, in terms of art, not that it's not as good, it's just, it's too cartoony, for lack of a better word.
I think that's because just like most regular media has also become very cartoony.
But
and
Eastern
so
people don't do that. And some Western people have changed their art styles to be more anime-esque, but not quite anime, but it's well past the realm of cartoony. Like, I don't know where to quite put it, but it's still good. And then there are people, I don't know what their name is. No, we're not gonna bring that person up because they got arrested for the dumbest fucking reason. That shit's still funny to me. There's a handful of Western artists that will do really good detailed things, and I'm like, now why can't all of you do half this good? But again, that is a matter of opinion.
Likes cartoony.
Yeah, and I'm like, I feel like I am very much in the minority. But I was like, why can't more Americans do stuff like that? And I'm like, well, I understand you don't want your art style, but like composition, coloring and shading, it's like stuff like that. I feel like we aren't super focused on that. We're more focused on making the fetish look nice, where Japan's like, we want to make the art look nice and then worry about the fetish.
I get what you're saying, and I definitely think that there are different trends, again, just like in regular porn with it. When it comes to art, obviously there's the same kind of thing where you're going to have different trends in different countries, but obviously with the internet, that is going to have a bit of transfer of those things from one to another. And so you are going to get, because like everybody's art style is generally slightly different, and so some people will see something and be like, that's how I want to draw. But other people just kind of draw stuff and it was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's my art style. So like some people can kind of change their art styles. Some people just have what they have, you know? And so I would say that not everyone would be able to just hit certain levels, because I do think there are different skill levels of drawing and everything. So some people may not be able to draw the same stuff as somebody else. Like there is always somebody who's going to be better than you than anything you do.
True. I was going to say practice is also a thing people don't really consider. Detail, color. I want more colors. I'm gonna always want more colors. You can fuck up colors, and you can't fuck up colors. That's if you know, you know. If you don't, it's because you don't know how art works. So, all right, time to put it to a vote. What's better, Eastern porn or Western porn? Puce, go.
Porn in general is good.
Bitch, you took my final answer. God damn it, I can't smack you.
I would agree with that statement, but for this vote, since it had two options and not that third option, my preference, I wouldn't say better, I would say my preference is Eastern porn.
I mean, you gotta, if you're making a stand, you gotta be like, Eastern porn is superior in every way, shape, and form. No opinion, just fact.
Nope, because
No,
I'm not the main
that's how
character of the world, and
That's
I
how
know
shit gets really fucked up really quickly.
that my opinion is only my opinion and not a fact.
Weaklings.
Oh, weaklings. You went with both.
I was only talking about you guys. I didn't say if I was weak or not.
But you chose the weak person answer, so what does that say about you?
What does it say about me?
It says you're weak. There you go.
Exactly. I didn't say if I was or not.
Like there are hills that I will die on, but whether Eastern or Western porn is quote unquote better is not even close to one of those hills. It's not even like a slight elevation.
It's an anthill.
A slight elevation.
All right. Oh, what's your preference?
I like the equipment used in Western porn I like that Eastern porn is literally, I can go to a movie theater and go watch one video for the length of a movie. One, that's kind of funny, and two, I'm just like, if it's subtitled, yeah, I can watch it. And as long as they aren't the super high pitched voices, yeah, we can do that. But in terms of art and like art people, I'm gonna go with Eastern porn because I feel like the quality is a little higher over there. Mostly because it's so fucking competitive. Mm-hmm. But Western porn's got its merits.
Absolutely. Like, I love both, but my preference is Eastern porn, and I would agree on the art side of it, like hentai and shit. And
also, we didn't talk about hentai and doujin this episode because we literally did 2 episodes about that, and we don't need a rehash for a very, very long time.
I mean, yeah, we they were brought up, but yeah, we didn't like go deep into them because, yeah, we had a whole episode. So,
all right, last call on opinions or thoughts.
I'm
Talking
just
to us or the audience.
How's the audience going to say anything, Pews?
It's the joke on last call.
Oh,
you don't go to bars. I mean, I also don't go to bars, but I know what last call is.
I don't think Alt meant that, but
I did mean that. I 100% meant like final call. Say what you got to say because we're getting ready to wrap up.
Oh, I get it because it's like Lusty Lounge. Okay,
last call.
I dig it. I dig it.
I don't think you meant it as a pun.
I did.
Oh,
I dig it.
Look at you using your brain.
We're finding our own. We're finding ourselves. We're finding our
last
podcast.
Call.
I got nothing.
I just
give me my bill.
It's a tab. Close the tab is what you do, Puce.
Right. Close my tab.
I just am happy that, at least with Western porn, the toxic, like, drug-using, unconsensual, sex trafficking style of porn seems to have mostly gone away. I'm sure it's still there, sadly, but like I feel like there was a big push for a lot more consent and empowerment and all of that kind of stuff. And if that hasn't happened in Eastern porn, I hope that it does soon, because nobody should be taken advantage of like that in any way, but like especially sexually or anything like that. So hopefully just worldwide porn becomes more accepted and has good work environments, good pay, and people can do it and not be shunned by society.
Sorry.
That's my hope.
All right. Well, we gotta shut down for the night. It was nice talking to you all. I hope your drink was to your liking. If it wasn't, blame Puce. And we will see you next time here at the Lusty Lounge. Bye.
Bye.